Welcome, everybody, to the Nobody Snuggles with Max Power. You strap in and feel the G's, the podcast. Yes, welcome to a perfectly cromulent Simpsons show, episode 46. I'm here with my co-host, Kristen. Hello, Kristen.
Hello.
We are here.
Hello.
Hello. We're here to talk about episode 46, but we'll get there in a second because first I want to tell you guys about our sweet social medias. I say sweet, I have no clue because we're recording these before we've really started there. I imagine they're fucking awesome. But find us on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube at Cromulent Show. I'm not sure why you would need to email us, but if you do, that is cromulentshow@gmail.com. Super easy. Reach out to us on any of those ways. If you're listening on one of the major podcast platforms, rate and review us. Podcast, so that's Apple Podcasts and Spotify. For whatever reason, those make a huge difference. That's what I'm told. I haven't seen any proof of that. That is what I'm told, though. I'm told a lot of things, and I tend to believe that for whatever reason. Okay, so this episode,
have faith in something, sir.
Exactly, and you know what? So this is season 3, episode 11, 46 overall. This episode is titled Burns Verkaufen der Kraftwerk, or Burns sells the plant. It is episode 8F09. That's production code. This aired December 5th, 1991, written by Jon Vitti and directed by Mark Kirkland. A lot of times, very rarely do you see it written by one person and directed by one person. I feel like it's a lot of duos, trios. Even the other day I saw one that was written by Mike Rice, Sam Simon, Jon Vitti, I think, and Matt Groening. Like all four had written on it. Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, like sometimes it's quite the list. Sometimes.
Yes, exactly. So, the chalkboard gag on this one was the Christmas pageant does not stink. I'm not sure when the next one aired. I don't know if it was before or after Christmas, but this might have been their, Christmas-ish episode this year. Also, never knew this about this episode. Phil Hartman is a guest, and normally, you get it's Lionel Hutz, it's Troy McClure. It's a very Phil Hartman sounding person. Phil Hartman is Horst, the German, they chose me because I am the least threatening.
I'm friendly. I might remind you of the guy from Hogan's Hero.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does. And he's the stockbroker. He's Homer's stockbroker. Hey Homer, you're stock. That's Phil Hartman too. I love that. I love that. We get a lot of. I think Phil Hartman was on my last episode. Phil Hartman's on this one. God damn it, I love Phil Hartman.
December 5th was when this one originally aired. December 5th.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant yours. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't know. I don't know. We'll
Boxing Day, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a couple weeks.
At Christmas break.
Yep. Okay. So before we jump in, memories of this episode, is this one that because for me, no. It's not.
Oh, I did. 2 memories. So one was that you might remind me of, what's his face from Hogan's Heroes, because that part always sticks in my head for some reason. And then the other one was that's where you get the sequence of the chocolate town and chocolate land.
That's true. Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. I always forget that that's in this episode. I just know the it's like I remember the chocolate land thing, but I'm like, what episode is that in?
My favorite joke of the whole episode appears in that. I'll tell you when we get there. Okay. So this episode opens on Mr. Burns getting his hair washed by Smithers in one of those salon style hair washing sinks. Smithers is excited about a new shampoo that will rinse clean, but is mild enough to use every day. Oh, hot dog. Mr. Burns not very enthusiastic as a tear rolls down his face. Smithers asks him, "What's wrong? Did I get some in your eyes? The shampoo specifically said no more tears." A lovely promise, but one beyond the powers of a mere shampoo.
I love that. I love that part because he's just it's like he takes it so like metaphorically,
He's
like
so deep and introspective, this Mr. Burns.
no more tears.
A
Can't
lovely
really
promise,
that.
but one beyond the powers of a mere shampoo. Smithers tries to get the problem out of Burns. Burns is pretty apprehensive to do so until Smithers pulls out Snappy the alligator. That's when everything changes, and Mr. Burns talks about how like things are changing in life, and maybe it's time he moves on and sells the plant. This shocks Mr. Smithers as he walks Mr. Burns back to his office. He runs into a crying Homer who is upset that the vending machine won't take his crumbled dollar.
Oh,
Uh,
the dollar, the dollar. I forgot to look something up because I wanted to find out because if you look at the dollar, it says like for it's like what I'm gonna think is like its serial code. It actually spells out like oil with a couple of L's at the end of it.
It would.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I wanted to look it up more. Yeah.
And if
Yeah,
Kristen's not incredibly
good.
familiar with American currency, you guys can give her a break. She's Canadian, so you know, like that's our whole thing here. When there's these Canadian expertise needed, Kristen is going to step in and really hold it down for us. So
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's like a serial. I think it's supposed to be like a serial number or something like that because it's above like the emblem and stuff like that. It's under the part that says United States of America. And it says
I literally didn't even look at that.
Yeah,
I love how deep you're going.
OILL 158, and I was like, I wonder if that because that says oil. That clearly says oil. And I'm like, what's the 158? And I forgot to look it up. So now I'm a little.
The amount of countries
myself.
America dropped bombs on for oil. America. Okay, anyway. I love my country. So Homer crying over the dollar in the vending machine. Smithers sees him and for some reason thinks that he's also upset about Mr. Burns' decision to potentially sell the plant. I don't know if like somehow word was supposed to have spread by now, but
I think especially in like some of the earlier seasons, there's a few times where that happens, like where people are upset or people say something and Smithers assumes it's in relation to what's happening between him and Mr. Burns. And I love it because he's just like so oblivious to everything that's not.
And self-absorbed. Everything is about he and C. Montgomery Burns.
Exactly. He's just so oblivious to like what's going on with the other people around. They don't matter because Mr. Burns.
Exactly. So Smithers tells Homer that although Mr. Burns can be tough and cold, he is still human. Homer just is like, well, whatever, and asks him for change for $1. And Smithers just gives it the change to Homer and tells him to try to eat something because it is, that's clearly what Homer needs, right? He's just as upset as Smithers and just needs some food. He's famished and waning away.
Strength. You need your strength. Keep your strength up. Get
so.
Chocolate bar.
We cut to Homer in his office getting a call from his stockbroker. This is what we were talking about. This is the Phil Hartman pop up here. His stockbroker is letting him know that his stock is up for the first time ever. Well, what should I do? Hold on, we got to get through some small talk. How the family? Good. You go dancing anymore? Not so much anymore. Awesome.
I love that part.
Such a good little just. Whoop.
I think my favorite part is when he kind of stops and then Homer's like, how are you? And he's like, near death.
Yeah. I also love these, like, let me pull it up on the computer here, and just pulls out the newspaper and reads the stocks.
Yeah.
He tells Homer that his stocks that he got, because Homer didn't even know that he had stocks. I have stocks. And he's like, yeah, you got it for giving away certain constitutional rights. So this is news to Homer, but he's excited about it. The stockbroker tells him that if he sells now, he'll get $25. Homer imagines what he can
big ones.
what he can get with that. He gets a haircut. I like that it's just like blow drying his 3 hairs. And
it's 3 hairs that are way
off the end. Yep.
Yeah.
What is it? A car wash. Hot wax. And then he goes to it's a hammer in a hardware store with a $25 price tag on it. He says, hammer.
I
Went back to
it's a $25 hammer
I
too,
know. I was
like
gonna say I just recently bought a pretty nice hammer, and it was about 25 bucks.
25
And this
bucks.
is 30, 40 years later. Uh, we then head back to the Simpson residence where Bart is watching an episode of Itchy and Scratchy. Did you notice what it was called?
Oh my god, I did. I forget now, but I did.
It was House of Pain or
Or this old mouse.
This Old Mouse. Yes. During Bart's watching of the episode, Marge tells Bart to switch the TV over as Selma has heard that their stock is skyrocketing. When Marge does the math, she realizes that it's worth $5,200. Now, listen, I know $5,200 is a lot of money. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do the calculation real quick on how much that was in 1991. But the celebration that everybody has in this episode is like they hit for millions.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I just want to like point out here, like Marge and her sisters apparently knew that they had stock, but Homer didn't know that they had stock. So like,
right.
like I'm gonna figure that Marge being Marge, sorry, Marge being Marge was like, let me read this like thing you're signing for work. Oh, okay, but we get stock. Okay, sure, fine. Like you know what I mean? Like and then she tells her sisters everything. So yeah, so they find out, but they're more more aware of it.
Homer knew but forgot. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So man, this is actually kind of crazy. $5,200 in 1991 is the equivalent of about $12,000 today.
That's okay. That's an okay payday. That's
Inflation. Yeah, so it actually changes it a little bit. I should have done that math earlier. So that, I mean, $12K, I'd be pretty stoked on that too. But Marge is like, oh, $5,200. When he does the math, and then Bart does the math and realizes, oh, maybe I could get a monster truck, a cement mixer full of chocolate milkshakes.
Bad boy Bart.
Bad boy Bart, and then he's just laying on his back with the cement mixer trough, pouring chocolate milkshake, chocolate frosty milkshakes directly into his mouth, and a jetpack, in which, of course, he writes out, "Eat my shorts." We then see Homer walk into Moe's and shirk his normal order of a Duff beer and orders a bottle of Henry K. Duff's Private Reserve. Are you sure, Homer? Once the bottle is open, there are no refunds.
I love that, and it's like you can tell he never touches those bottles too. Like I think he even blows some dust off of it or something. Like it's like nobody orders these,
I love how fucking cool Homer plays the fact that he just, I made a cool 25 play in the market. Buy low, sell high. That's what I say.
He's a genius. He's a stock market genius. Exactly.
Now. I might quit my job and become a stock market guy full time. So he meets a couple German men who both had large companies and came together to form a very large company. Fun fact, originally the businessmen who wanted to buy the nuclear plant were supposed to be Japanese, but the writers thought that it would be too predictable, as a lot of Japanese businessmen were buying major American companies in the early 90s. Therefore, they switched it to German businessmen as to make it not so predictable.
Darn it. I thought I was going to get you on that one. I was like, I got something for this.
Man, you're a dang note taker, though. I would tell you what, you better have these for yours, because I don't. So they hear that Homer is employed at the power plant, and they ask him if he knew Mr. Burns would be willing to sell. Homer tells them that he would, but for no less than $100 million. And also, again, how Homer knows this.
Doesn't he say no? Because Smithers, I think he says something. Doesn't Smithers say something like he wouldn't sell it for less than $100 million or something? I think there's a little. I think there's a little tiny.
It's just something that Homer's like, oh, that's exact fact.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's translated it into an exact fact. Yes.
The Germans are at first worried. They open their briefcase. Uns, zwei, drei, vier. They start counting the stacks of money, and they go, oh, it's okay. We'll still have enough to buy the Cleveland Browns. Also, a reference to the fact that Art Modell, who owned the Browns, was like in a huge fight with Cleveland, like right around this time, because he wanted a new stadium. And Cleveland was like, well, how about eat a dick? We're not going to you're a rich guy. Pay for the stadium yourself. We're not going to make the taxpayers buy it. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm moving to Baltimore, and our team's now called the Ravens. So I don't know if you knew this about the NFL. So for a couple seasons, I don't remember exactly how long it was, there was no Cleveland Browns. And then another group came in and purchased the rights and reinstated the Cleveland Browns. So the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore and became the Baltimore Ravens because the Indianapolis Colts moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis. So Baltimore was open and wanted a football team. So they're like, hey, we'll take you guys. And then Art Modell went over there, owns the Ravens. And then another team came in and bought, or another guy came in and bought the rights. And now the Browns came back as a football team.
That's a lot of shuffling. That's a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that was on the wiki page, but I knew of that anyway. I just thought that was a fun reference about the time.
It's a good one.
We could still buy the Cleveland Browns.
It's a good reference.
Yes. So we're back at the Simpsons, and Marge is with her sisters now. Like Patty and Selma have come over to celebrate. Listen, again, we'll just round it up. We'll say $12,000 windfall. Great. I would not call my siblings over.
Come on over. We're having a party.
Exactly. I'd be like, I don't want those motherfuckers to know how much money I have. I prefer that they think I have no money.
We're broke as ever. We are broker than broke. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. So she tells him that she has great plans with the money because Homer's like, oh, you've heard? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, great plans. Sorry to tell you, I had great plans too. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, I spent it on beer, which, even let's do $25. That's about $57 now. So
yeah,
it would have been an expensive hammer, and it's a lot. That was an expensive beer.
Very expensive.
I've had expensive beers, but I paid $12 for the full bottle or whatever. Not
and
60.
it's like, ooh, that's an expensive beer for $12.
Right. It was like a sour or like some holiday triple stout or something. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Homer's like $5,200, and she points over to the TV where the stock market is closed at 51 7/8. And Homer realizes that his stock that he traded in for $25 would have been $5,200. He collapses at the TV and tells them that he sold it all for $25. Just then Bart kicks him in the ass and tells everyone to join because it'll make him feel better. And I love that, not only does he kick him, but Homer flies forward and hits his head on the TV.
On the glass.
Yeah. So Homer goes to work the next day and sees that everyone is coming in with new cars and even plastic surgery, as he is crushed because he has confirmed that they all got it with their stock money. Now, if they all own the same amount, the cars that they pull in. Yeah. Oh, do you mean the 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Coupe, or a BMW E28, or the Duesenberg J, or the 1975 Porsche 911 Targa, or the 1984 Chevy Corvette C4? Which one did you like the best?
They're great, and I love all their license plates too, like the Me Rich, Jackpot.
Because you can get a brand new car and a vanity plate overnight.
Overnight,
easy to do. And it's crazy to think because Springfield is 3 times the size of East Texas, and I just
it's still they all and it's like they all do they all have the same amount of stock? That's the question I have. That's the question I was wondering.
That was exactly my thought. Was do they have the same amount, and did they just go put nice down payments on cars? Because even then, I don't think let's really quickly. You could talk about something for a second while I look up the price of a 1991 Chevy Corvette C4, because I bet you it wasn't $12,000.
No, I'm just wondering, I guess part of my thought was, maybe people had been working there longer. I mean, Homer got there when it was pretty new, but maybe people or hired positions or something like that. He's the safety inspector, but maybe someone that's actually doing nuclear thingy-mabobs. It's the best English I have. Maybe with their, their stock options were a little bit higher or something like that. I'm curious because these are some Homer couldn't go and buy one of these cars with his 12,000 or 5,000 or whatever.
Well, Homer also has terrible credit, so
yeah, that's true. That's very, very true.
I lost my place here. Sorry.
That's okay.
So he gets into work. Everybody's got badass cars, and Homer does not. Lenny even has some badass plastic surgery.
His smile is so big. It's like the biggest Lenny smile.
I don't. Go
I
ahead.
do kind of love that look on him though, like the really big Lenny smile. And I love the
And he
joke
doesn't
that
have his
comes
beard.
from Yeah, and I love the joke that comes from it in a little bit.
This is the worst day of my life. It's one time too where we don't see Lenny with a beard.
Yeah.
So we then see Mr. Burns on TV being interviewed by Kent Brockman about the Germans purchasing the plant. He tells Kent that he'd see the Statue of Liberty wearing lederhosen before the Germans will be running his plant. When asked why he's still meeting with them, Mr. Burns says he wants to look Uncle Fritz square in the monocle and tell him 9.
It's so dramatic too.
Yes, that is when Mr. Burns and Smithers walk into the Hungry Hun. It's got like the little like German cap with a spike on the top and a chicken drumstick stuck into it.
It's a great logo. It's a great logo. And I think also too, it's interesting because like lots of times when Germans come up, Mr. Burns is portrayed as being very pro-German. And this is the one time where for a second he appears to not be pro-German.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I read something where it was like, it's never implicit that Mr. Burns supported the Nazis, but it's never implicit that he was against them. But later he does like fully mock some Germans right to their face. So like, it feels like if there were Nazis, maybe that were his attitude then, but I doubt it. So when they get inside, some Germans exchange between Burns and the Germans before an offer is made. Smithers is impressed by Mr. Burns, like very rudimentary German. Upon reading the offer, Mr. Burns jumps for joy and then tells them that he'll grudgingly accept. I love it. He's like, wahoo! Jumps all over and then
it's a big
I
celebration.
grudgingly accept. Yes.
Yeah.
They offer him $100 million.
It's probably so much more than that place is worth too. There's no way that nuclear power plant at that time, because $100 million nowadays, like from then till now, that's
it's worth about $231,765,051 today.
There you go.
I also, it's actually only worth 50 million in the end, if you think about it.
Right.
Right. So, Mr. Burns clearly takes the $100 million. We go to the next day. We see everybody kind of like standing out at like a rally where the power plant's power is being handed over for some reason instead of the cash that they were counting at the beginning. Mr. Burns is getting a giant check for the power plant. And so it's like, it's not even I get that it would be like public information that what the company was purchased for anyway, but it's just funny that he's holding a check for $100 million and be like, okay, see you later.
It's like, this is the big moment. Here's the big check. It's like he won something rather than like a business deal, right? Like that.
Like Happy Gilmore. It's cool. I'll just take the big check too.
Yes, exactly.
So there's like some worry starting to spread across the crowd, and Mr. Burns is like, Hans and Fritz, why, that's just John and Frank. These two boys are American as apple pie. Worry spreads further across the crowd as the German flag raises in the background. People start to grumble things like, oh, they're going to bring in their own people. Oh, I'm going to lose my job. Homer mentions that they could all lose their jobs. And Marge says that she can see so many worried faces besides Lenny. He looks great. And then it cuts to Lenny with his plastic surgery smile. And he's like, this is the worst day of my life. Later, a group of employees are waiting for a meeting and listing their particular strengths. Lenny says, those lousy Germans can't fire me. I'm the one who can unjam the bottom rod disassociator. And Carl says, they can't fire me. I'm the one who's certified to run the gaseous contaminant particulifier. So Homer chimes in that they can't fire him, and both of them say, why? And that's when he realizes that he probably actually brings no value before being interrupted by Horst, who is the least threatening because he reminds you of a character from Hogan's Heroes.
I love that part. I love
it. Yeah, you do. Which character was it? I need to pull it up now. Don't worry, I've got the script right here. Oh, I went too far. Didn't go far enough.
Sergeant Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz.
Sergeant
That's it. Thank
Schultz.
you. Thank you.
I was scrolling as fast as I could.
I should have just Command F Hogan's Heroes. So they they associate with him because he's Sergeant Schultz. He first asks who's an alcoholic, and a few people raise their hand, and he offers those drunks 6 weeks in their drying out facility in Hawaii, after which they will return at full pay.
Sounds great.
Homer should have just raised his hand for this, to be honest, right?
Right? He should have been like me. Like he's got to know he's at least borderline alcoholic, right? Like
he could have had 6 weeks to study nuclear safety. One of them even has hopes that they'll marry Elizabeth Taylor.
I love that. I love where that comes out of nowhere. It's just like, maybe I'll marry Elizabeth Taylor.
I looked it up. Like maybe it's like a movie line or something. Nah, it doesn't seem to be in reference to anything that I can.
Been thrown out there, random.
Right.
I do like that, especially I think in the earlier Simpsons episodes when there's a group of people talking, you'll hear somebody say something super random like that. You're like, where did that come from? You know what I mean? Like it seems to happen, and I do like it.
So Horst also preaches the importance of employee safety and how they plan to have a very frank discussion with the safety inspector. And then Homer's like, "Ha, suck it to him, Horst." And then Lenny asks, "Homer, aren't you the safety inspector?" We then head to Burns' office and see him endorsing his giant check given to him by the Germans. And it's just like, for deposit only, see Montgomery Burns on the back of the giant check.
I like that he even comments, it's like it's such a big check. Like he himself recognizes that it's a really kind of ridiculous
he specifically asked for it. So what's he talking about? So we then we see Smithers practicing with tapes of sycophantic German. He's like learning how to compliment his new German overlords.
That was a bold decision.
Yeah. Burns calls in Smithers to give him a photo of he and Elvis that looks strikingly like a famous one of Elvis and Richard Nixon. So if you've ever seen the Richard Nixon photo, you totally get like Elvis is like sort of disheveled, and definitely he's fat Elvis at this point. Burns then does a very funny impression of a hard to understand Elvis. It's kind of like Jack White does in Walk Hard. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Two things I know about people: one's a king, the other one's me. That's a hound dog. And Smithers thinks it's funny. Smithers also likes Elvis because he was so good to his mother.
Yeah, I love that he's so good to his mother.
Yeah, I love that he's just like praises him for that. It's just something that Smithers would love. Homer goes to Lisa at this point because he needs to learn about Germany. And I love that she's like, well, it's a country in Europe. And he's like, okay, I'm learning. like that was already news to him. He finds out that Germany is not an economic powerhouse of the world because the U.S. sends them money, but because they are punctual and hardworking. And that freaks him out because punctual and hardworking, Homer is not.
No, that's a bit of a problem for.
Yeah, that's when he starts to have his real existential crisis here. He then shares with Marge his fear of getting fired, and she tries to reassure him that it'll be okay. But to Homer, if he's not a safety whatchamajigger, then he is nothing. Marge, I'm nothing if I'm not a safety whatchamajigger. Marge tells him if he's not going to sleep tonight, then he should do something constructive with his insomnia. He goes downstairs to do a jigsaw puzzle, and just like classic Homer, he's like worried about not being able to do his job right. Instead of going and finding the pieces that fit together, he just it's like slamming this jigsaw puzzle together before falling asleep in mental frustration.
I like that he just tries to mash it together. Like he doesn't like he's not even matching the colors. Like it's not like they let him have the two.
Everybody knows you start with the edges. Everybody knows you start with the edges, Homer. You build your frame
it's just
first.
like a red one and some totally different color, and he's trying to make them fit. I mean, it's like
just smashing them together. And then he passes out under mental exhaustion from smashing those pieces together. So he's awoken by Bart the next morning, as he heads to work, where he's worried. But the second he sees Horst, he begins to tell people to safeten up. Hey, Smitty, safeten up over there. Horst requests a meeting in several different variations of English, all of which Homer refuses, and Horst takes that as him being like, "Oh, I must not have asked properly."
I like he's just like, no,
Yeah,
like he doesn't even say anything else, just no.
So finally, Homer goes into the meeting, and they ask him like what initiatives he's spearheaded. Well, all of them. When asked about plans for the future, Homer mentions that he wants the candy machine to be less picky about the dollars that it takes, because the employees really like candy. The Germans tell him that they understand that they are from the land of chocolate, and of course this causes Homer to zone out. Homer runs around the land of chocolate with chocolate bunnies and roads to Fudge Town, where he begins to eat everything he can, starting with a lamppost, then a dog, then a mailbox. My favorite joke in the whole bit is that he runs up and he's in a town made of chocolate, and that, chocolate's half price.
Yes, I was about
it's
to
not
say
even
that.
free. It's not even free.
I was about to say that.
On Fudge Land.
He's been running around eating random things, and what he gets excited about is the 50%.
So, according to DVD commentary, the Land of Chocolate Fantasy was originally supposed to have a street sign that read Hershey Highway, but the censors objected, being that the name refers to anal sex.
Yep. I thought that as soon as you said it. I was yep, nope.
Yeah, so I guess the original, before it was animated, it was called for, and the censor said, "Oh, no, you're not going to do that." That's like, off topic, I don't remember what the original name for the second South Park video game was, but Walmart was like, "Yo, we're not going to sell it," because I think it had ass in it, like something badass. And Walmart was like, "We won't even put it on the shelf if it's got ass." And so they sent in Fractured Butthole.
Right.
And Walmart signed off on it. So the game's called Fractured Butthole.
Yeah.
Which is so much worse than like South Park Bigger and Badass or whatever it was,
Yeah, fractured butthole sounds rough, right? Like you have a fractured butthole. There's something totally wrong with you. I'm just throwing that out there.
Homer running around the land of chocolate, and he kind of zones. We see Homer zoning out. La, 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 la.
I like that he's singing the music. Apparently, like they make it seem like he's been singing this music the whole time, and they're just watching him sing.
Well, that's got to be exactly what's happening, because they like interrupt him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we were talking about chocolate," and they're like, "That was 10 minutes ago." So, outside, Lenny and Carl and Homer talk about how they did fine in the meetings, that the Germans aren't so bad. Then over the loudspeaker, an alphabetical list of people being laid off plays, and the list is as follows: Simpson, Homer. That is all.
I like that they do like a public laying off of people.
Right.
They say, okay, it's like my impression of them when they come in is actually that they're very like they're trying to be good business, like good bosses and stuff like that. They're sending people to like rehab and stuff, but we're going to announce the layoffs just publicly. And there's only one, but we're gonna like. I feel like really that probably should have been a private meeting between them and Homer.
And you know what? I don't know the German culture, but you're probably right. But Homer did appear to be guilty of gross negligence. So
he didn't do a good job. He doesn't do a
and
great
it only
job.
gets worse as they continue to discover throughout the episode. So Homer clearly a little out of it now. He loses his job. Again, it's over the loudspeaker, for God's sake. So in the next
everybody
scene,
knows.
Yeah. I love that the very next scene, we're already seeing the fallout of Homer having lost his job as Snowball 2 is fed some carrot cat food. Did you notice the ingredients on that carrot cat food?
Ash and carrots, but like only like 12% carrots or
That's
something
exactly
like that.
Right. 88% ash, 12% carrot. So Marge has some like wacky split down the hair, a bunch of flyaways hair. And it was done by Lisa and saved $40. So she thinks it looks pretty good.
It's awesome.
Homer also looks disheveled, unshaven, and is in a white tank top. Lisa shows off the small slivers of soap she pressed together to make one big ball of soap. Bart brags that instead of buying comics, he just read them in the store and left them. Marge isn't particularly pleased with that one. Lisa fixes her jump rope by tying it together, and Bart hasn't bathed in days, so they're all doing their part. Bart, I'd like you to bathe.
I, lo- I do like those moments when Bart does things like this, like, you know, where he's like Lisa's
I'm
actually
helping.
doing something helpful, and he's like, oh, me too, but he knows it's a bad kid thing at the same time, and I do enjoy cheeky Bart that way, you know.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows.
He knows. So Homer is then seen digging his fork deep into the toaster while complaining that the Germans can't tell him he's not safe. And he looks at the outlet where, I paused it, 11 different things are plugged in, and all but 3 of the wires are frayed and repaired in some way. Homer looks at that and remarks, well, nothing unsafe there.
I mean, you know what? Compared to the unsafe things that might have been at the nuclear power plant, that is nothing. You know,
true.
You got radiated rods everywhere or whatever. A little sparks coming out. I know, that's what I thought of right now. But a little sparks coming out of an outlet, like, that's nothing compared to radiation everywhere, right?
Yeah, Homer's right. He knows better than anyone. So we cut to Burns being bullied by Jasper, Abe, and another unknown old dude while he's playing lawn bowling, I believe.
Yeah, he's lawn bowling. He's lawn bowling. Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm not too sure. This doesn't look like. I mean, I can't remember the other one where we throw a ball and try to get the other balls.
Bocce
ball.
Bocce ball. Yeah, no,
Didn't look like bocce ball.
Yeah, no, he's doing like what's it called, like crown lawn bowling or whatever. Yeah,
very rich royalty type game, huh?
Yeah, like when I, you know what, the only, this is a weird thing to have bug me. I'm sorry, but I was like, okay, well, there's Jasper and that's Abe, and who the hell is that other guy with them? I'm like,
there's a lot of that happens in these early seasons. There was one that I saw in maybe this episode where there's a crowd, and I was like, that just looks like an older Jimbo. Like they made Jimbo an adult, and we're like, I don't know, just that looks fine. But I just love that they're like not even accepting Burns. They're just bullying him. They're just giving him so much shit. They know that he can't throw the little lawn bowling ball, and it's hilarious. So, the next thing we see is Burns checking in with Smithers, and Smithers tells him that it's falling apart there. Burns mentions that his folk guitar class has been canceled, so he makes plans to meet with Smithers for a drink. Smithers excitedly agrees, and Burns goes on to box a giant man whom he tells, "You're going down." Yes, sir, Mr. Burns.
It's Kate. I'm sorry. This is like, you know, it's funny because you're watching this and that part happens, and then like last night, you know, I'm online and I'm watching things and I'm like, yeah, go Mike Tyson and what's his face, you know, like here's this 58-year-old fighting someone like how much younger, 30 something years younger than him.
Yeah, like, 31.
I'm 31. Like, how, I was just like, how fitting that I just saw Mr. Burns trying to fight some guy.
And he looked like he held up about as well as Mike Tyson. So Smithers is very excited to hang out with Mr. Burns. So we cut to the Germans finding all the things wrong with the power plant.
Which are scary and wrong.
Yeah, there's like a nuclear leak from the reactor towers. There's raccoons in a thing chewing up some wires.
Is there not, am I wrong, but like, is there not always a crack in the nuclear tower?
There's always a crack. It's never leaking toxic
but there's
sludge.
But there's always a crack, right?
There's always part of the design.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. Sorry, I'm not tired. You're tired. So we cut to the Germans finding all those things wrong. We then cut to, the juxtaposition of Mr. Burns collecting honey from his hives in retirement. And of course, he's treating it like he's just an evil villain the whole time. He's like, yes, collect your nectar and turn it into sweet honey for your queen. Only it is I that will take it, or whatever. It's just,
It's course, like, I'm evil.
It's exactly right. 100%. So, Smithers rolls up on him and he's like, hey, let's go do the dang thing, go to our date or whatever. But also, Smithers is stung right here, and he's around bees while they're doing this. And in the season 7 episode 22, short films about Springfield. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
The short film about Springfield with Smithers and Burns is that Smithers is deathly allergic to bees.
To bees.
And he's still got to pedal the bike all the way with Burns with his feet kicked up.
It's one of my very favorite episodes. That episode,
it is a good one.
Sorry, just
no.
Note,
in fact, Greg and I recently had somebody watch that episode because they were like, I don't know shit about Simpsons. Where should I start? And I was like, watch 22 short stories about Springfield. Like, it'll kind of introduce you to every character.
Yeah.
Also, Mr. Burns has named the Queen Smithers. So I thought that was a fun little.
I like
Smithers. It. Smithers as a fairly closeted homosexual man throughout the entirety of the show. To have a queen named after him was probably quite an honor.
Yes, so, I agree.
Then we get a classic Bart to Moe prank phone call, which are still classic at this point. I don't think they've done them in years and years and years, but still good for me. Bart calls looking for a Mrs. O'Problem. B O'Problem. So of course Moe starts like, yeah, you got a BO problem. Do we have a BO problem here? You sure do. Moe threatens to use Bart's head for a bucket and paint his house with Bart's brains. Just then, Marge asks Bart to go down to Moe's to get Homer. During this time too, you could see Homer passed out on the bar.
Yeah. So just quickly, just because that's I love that BO problem one. I think that's a great one. Do you know? Sorry, I had pulled up a script from the table reading before they changed some of the jokes.
Oh.
Okay, the original joke was supposed to be I'm looking for a Mr. Osage, first name Ross. And he says. So then that's where that joke goes. I think the BO problem one is better than Rossage, but that's what the joke originally was.
Yeah,
and Mo saying just a minute, Rossage.
Ross sausage.
That's it. Thank you, Ross sausage. Could somebody check the kitchen for Ross sausage? I do think the BO problem. I think is superior.
I got a BO problem. You sure do.
I just thought that it was fun because that's one of the ones where from between the table read and the show they clearly changed.
Changes were made.
Fun. Yeah, just fun.
Bart walks into Moe's tavern to get Homer. When he walks in, he asks for Homer, and Moe instantly recognizes his voice. Bart gets very nervous before realizing that Moe just recognizes him as Little Bart Simpson. Bart then gets brazen because Homer's still passed out in the bar, and Moe asks him, like, I bet you there's things you get up to that he doesn't even know about, huh? And Bart tells him, yeah, I am into prank phone calls. Moe tells him that he loves the song that Bart used to sing, and asks him if he'd do it for him. Bart's like, anything for Moe, and begins to sing his song. We cut to outside where Burns and Smithers are looking for a place to get a drink, and Monty sees a blue-collar bar in Moe's and says, oh, Smithers, let's go slumming. We go inside to hear Bart singing Teddy Bear Picnic, which I
very enthusiastically.
Enthusiastic
about it.
I feel like Teddy Bear Picnic is one of those songs that we all know, but nobody knows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I know the song, but I don't know the song. But every there that ever there was, I was going to the woods because
I think especially probably if you're, I don't know, do they still sing the Teddy? Oh, sorry, I burnt my mic. Do they still sing the Teddy Bear Picnic song nowadays?
I haven't sang it. I mean, I was in kindergarten when I sang it, which would have been 1991, which would have been right around here. So I probably saw this and was like, yeah, that's my jam.
You're like, let's go. But yeah, like I remember as a kid, like there was some teddy bear picnic stuff around. But I also know I've come to learn as I've gotten older that some of these songs that were very familiar to us in some way, nowadays kids are like, "What the heck is that?" And
Yeah,
you're
I don't
like,
like my kids
mm,
don't really like know nursery rhymes because I didn't read them nursery rhymes really. We watched The
exactly,
Simpsons.
exactly.
Uh,
Well, their nursery rhymes are The Simpsons, is what you're
right.
saying.
Well, then
Very
they'll
good,
learn
very good.
Rockabye Baby from that one episode. So Bart's singing Teddy Bear Picnic like a motherfucker. According to the DVD commentary, the song Bart was supposed to sing was On the Good Ship Lollipop. But they couldn't get the rights for it in time. The song would later be used in the second segment of Treehouse of Horror 3, King Homer, when King Homer eats Shirley Temple singing that song. Greg and I did a live stream of that one, and I remember seeing On the Good
Sweet
Ship
chip.
Lollipop.
It's a sweet trip
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
candy shop. Yeah.
So they would get the song later, but they couldn't get it cleared in time for this. So Bart was supposed to be singing On the Good Ship Lollipop, instead sang Teddy Bear Picnic.
I mean, I think the teddy bear picnic works because uh Mo, like, almost better than the good ship lollipop, because Mo's like referring to like remembering Bart from when he was
Yeah, little
little, right?
Barney Simpson. Right.
And that's totally
Right.
something a little Bart, like any little kid could know and sing, right? Whereas maybe the good ship lollipop, you'd have to be a Shirley Temple fan, I guess, maybe, or
Or
something,
Shirley Temple herself.
Yeah,
Uh,
or Shirley Temple herself.
so Bart kills it and is given a crusty bar for his trouble. Burns then goes in and tries to act friendly with Homer. Homer calls him out for being greedy. Does your money hug you when you come home? Uh, no. And this is kind of a turning point for Mr. Burns because he realizes, yeah, he's got money, but what else?
Yep.
They all begin taunting him, and Burns realizes that without, like, he's got the money, but he no longer has the power. And
Right.
he
Yeah,
likes the
yeah,
power
yeah.
better
Yeah, yeah.
because, like, the fact that they're no longer afraid of him is like his largest fear.
That's a bigger problem. And you know what? That's a reoccurring theme you see with Mr. Burns, where it's like, that's great. I'm rich, but I want these people to fear me. It's like the one where he blocks out the sun from the town. Like, he didn't have to do that, but he could. And
Who
he
shot
did.
Mr. Burns? Who
Yeah.
shot Mr. Burns? Episode 1.
Like he likes it's like when he was with the bees. He didn't have to be mean to those bees, but in his mind, they weren't just making honey to feed, like, the
Yeah, what
children
do
and
you
the
want?
queen and
You
stuff.
want sour honey?
He wants to take the honey. It's his power. He's a power tripper, He needs
Yeah,
his power.
100%. So I love that they're just like taunting him. The whole bar is taunting him. Bart even comes up and asks if he got the letter he sent him. And Burns is like, "What letter?" And he's like, "Oh, you didn't get it because I forgot to stamp it," and stomps on Mr. Burns' foot. Burns runs scared as the Patriots sing, "Na na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye." Burns goes outside and wonders aloud to Mr. Smithers what good money is if it can't inspire fear in his fellow man, and vows to get the plant back, making Smithers happy in the process. We then see the Germans finding even more safety issues with the plant that continue to compound. Burns comes in desperate to buy it from them, and they are desperate to sell. I do love that, like, Smithers comes in and puts a pillow down on the ground for him to beg, and the Germans do totally tip their hand. They're like, "Oh, you are desperate to buy, we are desperate to sell." And then, like, Burns turns it into a fucking total power move. So instead of paying more than he sold it for, he offers them half. So he offers them 50 million. The Germans look at it and they're like, that is fine, but you have made an enemy of the Germans, or whatever they say. And Burns is like, "Ooh, the Germans are mad at me. I'm so scared. Ooh, the Germans." Stop it. Stop that. "Ooh, the Germans are coming after me." Stop the pretending you are scared game. "Oh, they're so big." Stop it, Mr. Burns. "Protect me from the Germans." Stop it.
It's so
Um,
good.
so he's got his plant back. He gets it for 50 million. So he made 50 million on the deal after all. He then storms into his old office turned daycare, immediately and unceremoniously kicks out all of the children. "This is a place of business, not a peewee flop house."
I like that.
Burns
I like that he calls it a Pee-wee flop house. I do.
babies.
I do.
They're just babies in there. Mr. Smithers is told to cancel all the repairs and rehire Homer since he roused him in the bar. So Smithers is like, what? Why would you rehire Homer Simpson? I keep my friends close and my enemies even closer. He'll slowly regain his confidence as the months and years drift by, blissfully unaware that the sword of Damocles is dangling just above his head. And we see the knife drop through like a doll that was left behind in the daycare. And Homer says, woohoo! I got my job back. And then we get so we kind of burned through that one, but I love it because it's a good episode.
It's a good episode.
But it's not one, like I said, it wasn't one that I was like, oh, I remember this and everything from it. But I do have a character bio. We forgot to do your character bio last week. I forgot. So,
did we? Oh, we
no
did
big
too.
deal.
It's
no
all
big
right.
deal.
It's all right.
Exactly. But so I've got a character bio for you in this one. This is from anybody who doesn't know, this is from Simpsons World, the Ultimate Simpsons episode guide, episodes 1 through 20. You probably still get this on Amazon. I don't know, maybe eBay. It's a giant,
I saw it in that one charity
literally
shop.
like 8-pound book.
Remember when I saw it in the charity shop? I sent you a picture of it. I should have bought it for myself.
You should have bought it. But I mean, like, I don't know if we'll ever post these videos. We have them just in case. But I mean, it's the size of like, I mean, I don't know, Kristen. It's like, you know, when you go into the library and get those like massive dictionaries that have
or like one of those really big encyclopedias. You know, like those.
Yes. This is like A through F.
People don't buy encyclopedias anymore, but you know,
we have the gosh darn internet.
When some of us were young, there would just be big books of encyclodias, and you'd have to pick up
the internet was in books, you bastards.
Big, you know, the internet was in books.
So if you're interested in this book, it is crazy awesome. It has a 2-page spread on each episode, every single episode of The Simpsons, seasons 1 through 20. So it's pretty like fully in depth. I'm sure I've talked about it before, especially since this is, you know, the 46th episode or whatever. But it's a good book. If you're a Simpsons fan, like you will not hate having it. But in every one of these spreads, there is a character bio. I just looked. You can get it for like $50 to $60 on eBay. It's an affordable book. This one is for Fritz, who is one of the German businessmen. Who he is one of the wealthy German investors who buys Burns' power plant. He is from West Germany, where he owned a big company who partnered with an East German who also had a big company, and together they formed a very big company. Other plans he had were to buy the Cleveland Browns, and he believes American beer is like swill. Did I say that correctly? Like, you know, what the pigs eat? Really quickly, too, I have this Simpsons trivia that I pulled aside. So let's just pull a random card here. Right out of the middle. This, like, don't feel bad if you don't get it. This could be from any season, any episode of The Simpsons.
Which is a long time.
It totally is. Let's see. Okay. I'll give you both questions on here, okay? There's 2 questions on the card. I don't know how we'll do this for mine. Maybe I'll just like, it's not possible. I'll see the answers every time. But that means you got to get a deck. Okay, so 2 questions. In Hungry Hungry Homer, Homer hurled what to the ground at Harry Shearer's? It's multiple choice. Was it Harry Shears, a hairnet, or a fistful of dollars? In Hungry Hungry Homer, Homer hurled what to the ground at Harry Shearer's? Harry Shears, a hairnet, or a fistful of dollars?
Was it a hairnet?
It was a hairnet.
Yes.
A hairnet. Okay.
I had this like vague, you know, when you can like, you have like a vague image. I'm like picturing him. I'm like, I have a vague image of him throwing a hairnet at some point. It could be the hairnet.
Let's see. Hungry Hungry Homer was the 15th episode of the 12th season. So good reach. Okay, second question on the card. In Lisa's first word, Homer thought Maggie said which word when all she really did was burp? Was it Engelbert, Albuquerque, or burlap?
Burlap.
Correct again. 2 for 2. This was the 10th episode of the 4th season. Lisa's first word. Very good, Kristen. You went 2 for 2 on your Simpsons trivia today. Maybe I'll give you 2 trivia questions at the end of every episode.
You could do that.
Fun. So fun.
I got them, so I feel smart right now because I'm like, I knew
I think
these.
you did wonderfully. I'm going to stop giving you the multiple choice one day, though. Don't get too many right. So you guys check us out on the social media grams. That's what I like to call them. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We are all at Cromulent Show. YouTube would be youtube.com/@Cromulent Show. You got to put the @ in there. I don't know why YouTube did. It seems silly to me, but yeah. You can also email us if you want. I don't know why you would, because you can reach us on all those other things much quicker probably, but it's there in case you want to do some business. I guess that's, if you're up to business, send us an email, cromulentshow@gmail.com. Otherwise, we're here, guys. Rate and review us on your major podcast platforms. That would help us a lot. If you like the show and what we're doing, tell your friends, share it with everybody who likes The Simpsons. Kristen and I both hang out on Discord a lot. You can reach out to us, and we don't really have a Discord set up for this, but we have some Discords that we hang out in that we could set up an area to specifically talk about Sims. Yes. So we could definitely work that out. But
we're just getting
reach out to us and let us know.
We're just getting rolling, so the things will fall into place. Plus, we're recording this before we actually release it, which means by the time you guys hear this, it might actually be worked out.
So while it is episode 46, you will notice the space between episode 43 and 44 is about 4 years and a new co-host. So we are working some stuff out, but we're having a lot of fun while we do it. What do you think, Kristen? Is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
I'm also just really quickly, I want to jump back to the cars just for a second. Mm-hmm. You know what? What happened to those cars that all those guys bought? Because we never see them again.
Ever. And Lenny's plastic surgery wore off pretty fast.
Yeah. That's all. I just want to float that out there as a thought for everybody. What happened to those cars? Were they repossessed? Did they sell them? I
was going to say, well, the repo man got his share. That's for sure.
Did everybody rush out just like Homer and spend money they didn't have, really? That
is correct.
Anyways,
American way.
I meant to say it before, and then I was like, no, I'm going to still say it. Anyways, that was my last thought of the day. What happened to the cars?
Perfect.
Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Well, guys, go find us however you can, rate and review, all the good stuff. Otherwise, shh.